karmasu kaushalam. Kaushala is the skill. Now we talk about skill development. Everywhere skill development is being discussed and promoted. But what is the real skill? The real skill is keep the mind equanimous. The real skill is that skill by which you are remaining absolutely unperturbed in joy and sorrow, success and failure, heat and cold of all the pairs of opposites. So that skill, sa chaturi, chaturi, that is the chaturi, that is the skill, that is the intelligence by which you can convert karma, which usually leads to bondage, into a lever for releasing from bondage. That is the kaushala, that is the skill, which is the state of yoga, which is samatva. The Gita constantly speaks about anasakti and samatva. There are 4 cardinal points in the Gita which is repeated again and again. One is samatva, samata, samya, equanimity, evenness, unperturbed mind. Second is anasakti, no attachment to karma or karma phala. Third, indriya sanyama, complete restraint over the senses. And the fourth is taking refuge in the Supreme Being. These are the 4 cardinal principles of the Bhagavad Gita. The Supreme Being is manifest as a human being, the avatara. So these are the 4 cardinal principles of the Bhagavad Gita, repeated over and over again by the Bhagavan. Yoga karmasa kaushalam, it is a skill in action. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva manishanaha tanma bandha vinadamukta parangacchantanamayam. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi. Karmajam is karma janita. Phalam tyaktva. Again and again he emphasizes this. Phalam tyaktva. Giving up, abandoning all karma phala, fruits of action. Buddhi yukta. Buddhi yukta. Endowed with unperturbed evenness of mind. Those who are absolutely unperturbed by success or failure, of equanimous mind, karmajam, born of action, janma bandha vinirmuktaha. They cross over the janma marana. Janma bandha is the bondage of janma marana. Vinirmuktaha. They are freed from the entanglement of births and deaths and attain to a state which is beyond this. Anamayam padam gachanti. Anamayam, free from sorrow. Padam, the supreme state, gachanti, they attain. Then it tells Arjuna, O Arjuna, you also will attain this. When? Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. When your buddhi or understanding, moha kalilam, evil of delusion, you cross beyond this. Now, Arjuna, you're being deluded about your karma, what you should do, what you should not do, and you do not know what you want to do. When you overcome the delusions of your understanding, oh kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati, and these delusions of your understanding, they spring from self-centered attachments. It's a very important statement. From the beginning we saw why Arjuna was collapsing, why Arjuna was getting deluded, shoka moha, delusion and sorrow, why Arjuna wanted to run away from war. Why? Because he said, Acharyan, Matulan, Bhratren, Putran, Pautram, Sakim Stada, Swajanam Hikatam Hatva, Sukinasyama Madhava. We saw in the first chapter, my own people, Swajana. It occurs 4 times there, the first chapter. My own people, self-centered attachment. When you overcome this delusion, you will attain a state which is equanimous. Tada gantasi nirvedam. Nirvedam is vairagya. Nirvedam means absolute indifference towards all past experiences. So many things might have happened to you, right or wrong, by your own mistake, your own delusion. We make so many mistakes in life because of our delusion, because of our moha, because of our attachments. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, the Shad Rupu, the 6 enemies, Kama, lust and desire, Krodha, anger, Moha, delusion, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, greed, Mada, pride, egoism, Matsarya, jealousy, envy. These are the 5 great ripus, terrible enemies which come to snatch us away from the path of spiritual advancement. Now, when you overcome this, then you will attain a state of complete indifference towards all past experiences. Shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. Shruta, that means all that I've heard already, all the experiences you've already undergone. We go through so many experiences and some terrible mistakes we did, which we suffer, even now suffering endlessly. Let them go. Bhagavan Buddha's famous instruction, let go. Swami Vivekananda dramatically puts it in this famous poem, Song of the Sannyasin. Thine only is the hand that holds the rope that leads thee on, then cease lament. Let go thy hold, Sannyasin bold, say Om, Tat, Tat, Om. You are holding a rope and crying, oh, this rope is dragging me, this rope is dragging me, save me, save me. Oh, fool, you are holding the rope and that's why it's dragging you. Thine only is the rope that drags you on. Then what should you do? Let go. Cease to hold it. If it's dragging you, hold it. Then you are free. We are unable to hold the grip. We hold on to the world. We hold on to our desires. We hold on to our ambitions. We hold on to our kama, krodha, lust and anger and greed, lobha. Then we are saying, oh, I'm suffering so much. I don't know. Nobody is helping me. I'm feeling so lonely. No. Give up this attachment. Let go thy rope. Then they will be happy. So Shrotavya and Shruta are 2 significant terms in Sanskrit, which Swami Tapasyananda in his spiritual intellectual genius has translated as Shrotavya, that which is going to come, indifference towards all the past experiences, Shruta, that which has been already gone through. You have gone through hundreds of thousands of experiences, good, bad, indifferent. You have suffered enough, then wake up, wake up. There's a wake-up call for you. And let go all the past experiences and all the experiences that are to come and be established in equanimity, in yoga, which is a state of sameness, samya, samata, samatva. Shruti vipradipannate yada sthāsyase nishala samadhavachala buddhi tada yogam avapsyasi. When will you attain yoga? All of us want to attain the state of true yoga equanimity of mind, unagitated, without any greed, without any anger, without any lust. Yogastha kuru karmani. Be established in yoga. When will that happen? Tada, then it will happen when Shruti vipratipanna, distracted by various doctrines. See, studying books and reading a lot of books is good, but there is a chance you are getting confused by studying too many books. Those who keep on studying books, they exhaust the whole library. When you ask them to explain a simple truth, they got so confused. So clarity of mind doesn't come merely by reading books. You have to deeply contemplate, meditate. And with the awakened buddhi, or the dhi, the medha, the prajna, the inner meaning of what you have studied will become absolutely clear to you. Aditya vajnanam prakashayati tatparam. Bhagavad Gita says, like a sun rising, dispelling all darkness, all the mist, you will see the bright knowledge arising in your heart. Don't be distracted by too much of study, even of the scriptures. It will distract you. Study, meditate, bring clarity. Yada sthasyasi nischala, when your mind, not distracted by various study, doctrines, etc., becomes completely firm in samadhi. Samadha vachala buddhi, introspection in the Atman. Then it becomes unwavering, tada yogamavapsyasi. When your intellect, fed up with the bewildering scriptural doctrines and their interpretations, what a beautiful translation. Nirveda actually means vairagya, I don't want. He says, fed up with all this. So many books I studied. Bewildering scriptural doctrines and their interpretations. Scriptural doctrines, the Vedas, the Upanishads, and various scriptures of the world religions, the Bible, the Quran, and the Guru Granth Sahib, so many scriptures, all of them teach the most sublime doctrines. But too many bewildering doctrines and their interpretations. That's interesting. Read the original, it is very clear. When somebody begins to interpret, it becomes a problem. There is an interesting story in the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was the avatar who came before Sri Ramakrishna, avatar of prema, divine love. He was listening to the Bhagavata from somebody, and repeatedly he was trying to understand, but he was struggling. Then the teacher, a great scholar, a Pandit, he said, "Oh, I am unable to give you any understanding. Why are you not able to follow?" Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled and said, "Sir, the original which you read out is very clear to me. The problem is about your interpretation of the original." Swami Brahmanandaji therefore used to say, particularly about the Gita and the Upanishads, go to the original. A very simple Sanskrit, good translations are available. Even then, with this very little knowledge of Sanskrit, you can understand the meaning of the Bhagavad Gita particularly, and some of the Upanishads. Go to the original. Read it in Sanskrit. And think and meditate. Sit down quietly. It is said Swami Turiyanandaji was an illustrious yogi disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. He used to meditate for hours on a particular shloka of the Gita. Meditation means try to delve deep. What could be the meaning of this? So when you're fed up with the bewildering scriptural doctrines and their interpretations, the Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutras by Vedavyasa, Shankara has a masterly commentary, Bhashya on that. That is good enough. They're so beautiful, so easy to understand. On that, there are so many tikas and tikas and tikas. It means gloss, interpretation. There is a famous tika called the Bhamati tika. And the Bhamati tika is sufficiently complicated. Bhamati tika has one tika called Kalpataru tika. Kalpataru has another tika called Parimala tika. And scholars are so happy. Have you read the Parimala? Have you read the Kalpataru? After reading the original and the Bhashya and the Tika, Tika 1, Tika 2, Tika 3, what do you get? I'm totally confused. What little clarity I had in the original, that is lost by too much of interpretation. Because the interpretations are like theologians in Christianity. And they are like great barristers, these acharyas who interpret. The barristers have an uncanny way of interpreting a particular sentence by which you will be convinced about their argument, but the truth may be very different. They themselves will contradict their own arguments. Like you can see, the trial court gives a verdict, and that is overturned by the High Court, and the High Court verdict, a single bench is overturned by the division bench of the High Court. Then you go to the Supreme Court, a single bench contradicts that. Double bench changes that also, and a three-member bench or five-member bench, you come back to the original. So barristers and those interpreters of law have a fantastic way of doing this interpretation. So Arjuna, don't go into all this. Just simply understand what the scriptures want to say. And don't read too many scriptures. The essence for us, for example, as we have heard from great monks of the Ramakrishna order, stick to the Gita, particularly Upanishads, and the Gospel of Ramakrishna, Sri Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, the great master Ramakrishna and his divine play, Sri Sri Ramakrishna Lila Prasanga, talks with the Holy Mother, Mayar Katha, the complete verse of Swami Vivekananda, life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, the Holy Mother Sharada Devi, Swami Vivekananda, and the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. This much is good enough. Once Mahapurush Swami Shivanandaji was the second president of the Ramakrishna order after Swami Brahmanandaji said, "What are you studying? The Upanishads? Study our lives. Then you will know the significance of the Upanishads." So you can understand the truth only if you are taught by an illumined person, a person who has the right understanding. Then you will be steady. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vijitarishati tada gantasi nirvedam shrutavyasya shrutasya cha. You will be steadily established in wisdom. Then Arjuna asks the question. This question and the subsequent answers till the end of the chapter form an extraordinary section of the Bhagavad Gita called Sthita Prajna Lakshana. Sthita means established. Prajna means divine wisdom. Sthita Prajna is a person who is established in spiritual wisdom. Arjuna Vacha Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava Sthitadi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. He is asking Bhagavan, Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha. Bhasha means description. How do you describe a person who is established in wisdom? From outside, everybody looks the same. What are the lakshanas? What are the symptoms? What is the description of a man of steady wisdom? And interestingly, as we now call in the management, body language. how he sits, how he moves, how he talks, each one of them is important. Chidari kim prabhashita prabhasheta. How does a man of steady wisdom, Sitapragya, how does he talk? Kim asita. How does he sit? Prajeta kim, how does he walk? The way he sits, the way he talks and speaks, the way he walks, clearly will show that he is a Siddha Prajna. It's called the body language. When Swami Vivekananda was in Paris, the waiter in that hotel where he was staying used to call him a prince. Swamiji protested, said, I am not a prince, I am a Hindu sannyasi, a monk. Then that waiter said, oh, don't tell me that. I have been dealing with Rajas and Maharajas and princes and kings all my life. I can just spot one when I see him. Just your walk, your movement, your talks, the way you sit, the way you walk about. Clearly there's a stamp of royal wisdom in you. Kim asita vrajeta kim, what is the description? Sri Bhagavan uvacha dukkeshvanudvigna manaha sukheshu vigataspраha ita raga bhaya krodha sitadhir muniruchyate. Clear definition. Dukkeshu anudvigna manaha. Udvigna mana, a person whose mind is agitated. Anudvigna manaha, one whose mind is not agitated. How? In dukkha. Sukheshu vigataspраha. Vigataspраha is no desire for pleasure. In pleasure, he is absolutely desireless. In sorrow, he is not agitated. Then, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. A person, Vita means devoid of, who has given up four things. Raga Bhaya Krodha. Raga is attachment, Bhaya is fear, Krodha is anger. A person who is devoid of these, and Sthitadhihi, sage who is steady-minded, is dhi, his mind, his intellect, his wisdom is steady. Such a person is called a muni, a sage of divine wisdom. He continues, Yas sarvatra nabhisnehas tattat prapya shubhashubham na vinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratishtita. Sarvatra anabhisneha. Everywhere he has no sneha, he has no self-centered affections. This is the great problem of Arjuna. We saw in the beginning, Svajana, my own people, he has tremendous attachment for his own people, affection. He thinks it is kripa, he thinks it is compassion, but it is downright attachment. A person, everywhere he has no self-centered affection. Tat shubha shubham. Tat, whatever, shubha and ashubha, good or evil, favorable or unfavorable situations. Na avinandati, he rejoices not. Na dveshti, hates not. His prajna, wisdom, pratishtita, is firmly set. Whoever is without self-centered affection for anything, who rejoices not in favorable situations and hates not in unfavorable ones, such a person's wisdom is firmly set. Again and again you will see how the Bhagavan says samatva. Don't be agitated in any circumstance. When good comes, welcome, and evil comes, welcome. When joy comes, don't be over much elated. When sorrow comes, don't be over much depressed. Take them with equanimous mind, a mind which is steady, this person of steady wisdom. Yada samharate chayam kurmongani vasarvasha. Rasavarjam. Yada samharate chayam kurmongani vasarvasha. Indriyan indriyarthebhya tasya prajna pratisthita. Yada samharate chayam. Samharate means he withdraws. He is giving the example of the tortoise, kachap. All of us have seen a tortoise. Whenever there's a danger approaching, immediately he will withdraw all the four legs and the head inside the tough shell. Shell cannot be so easily broken. So what they do is they invert it. The back is very soft, then they kill it. So just like a tortoise, which withdraws all its limbs, kurma, and from all sides his limbs are getting withdrawn, indriyani indriyarthebhya. So what does a sage, what does a saint, what does a prajna, man of economy do? He withdraws all the senses from the sense objects. Tasya prajna pratisthita. The simplest definition of wisdom, of sthita prajnatva, of moksha, withdraw all the senses from the sense objects. Senses are attached to the sense objects. The eye is attached to various sights. The nose is attached to beautiful smell. The ear is attached to sounds. The tongue is attached to taste. And the skin attached to touch. So all the senses, if you completely withdraw, just like a tortoise withdraws all its limbs from the sense objects, then his wisdom is firmly set, pratisthita. He is called a sthita prajna. Now a question arises. Suppose you don't feed the senses. What is our problem? Our problem is we go on pampering the senses and feeding them. My tongue is clamoring from food, different kinds of food. Not that I am very hungry, but I clamor for different kinds of food. I say, no, you shall not have it. My eyes are clamoring to see various pictures and movies and constantly looking at the internet. My ear wants to hear all kinds of sounds. And my nose wants to smell. And my skin wants pleasant touch. Starve them. That is the idea of upavasa, ekadashi, purnima, amavasya, shivaratri. We starve because the senses should not be over much fed. Just like it is not good to starve them fully, it is also not good to pamper them fully. There should be a middle path. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapna vabodasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Bhagavan will say in the 6th chapter later, Dhyana Yoga. So starve them. It's called abstinence. Abstinence. You abstain from food. Nirahara. Ahara here means any kind of food given to any sense. For the eyes, the ahara is sight. drishya. For the tongue, the ahara is food. For the ear, the ahara is sound. For the nose, the ahara is smell. And for the tvak, skin, the ahara is touch. Now starve all of them. Don't give them any food. Then all the vishaya, vinivartante, they may fall away. Because you are not feeding them. But the rasa, the subtle taste, which has remained with you over several decades since birth, because you have experienced all this. Suppose you have experienced some good food. Some people give up meat eating and fish eating, etc. after some time. But the taste for fish and meat doesn't go so easily. When they see that, they have given up. But still they will feel the saliva will start secreting in their mouth. Rasa. The subtle taste. But that will not so easily go away unless you see the Supreme. That will go only when you see, experience, perceive the Supreme Truth. A very interesting idea that you may try, but the subtle taste will not go. Don't bother. At least this much you try. When the Supreme Truth is realized, this also will go. Arjuna, don't think life is easy. You cannot control this turbulent matta hasti, they say, a mad elephant. You can't control it so easily. A person of wisdom, vipaschat, striving hard, yatataha. Even in his case, indriyani pramatini haranti prasabam manaha. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramatini haranti prasabam manaha. Pramathini, turbulent senses, do violently draw away the mind of even a discerning person, a wise person, who is earnestly striving in the spiritual path. Don't think everything is easy. A person may be sincere, hardworking, striving, meditating. He is keeping away from all the senses. But once the senses become turbulent, because of past impressions and samskaras, indriyani pramathini haranti, they wean away, they take away, prasabham manaha. The mind is being forcefully taken away. What we call in the modern language, the mind is getting hijacked by the turbulent senses. We just can't control. You may want to control, but the senses are so turbulent, like terrible dacoits and terrorists. They barge into your place, and then take away everything. They simply throw you into the wilderness. Shankaracharya's famous poem, a stotra, a hymn which he wrote, Lakshmi Nrisimha Stotram. Lakshmi Nrisimha is Narayana. Lakshmi Nrisimha Mama Dehi Karavalambam. O Lakshmi Nrisimha, please give me refuge. Hold me by the hand and lift me up. Mama Dehi Karavalambam. Here he says one of the verses. O Narayana, O Lord, I have been practicing austerities. I have been struggling. I am controlling my senses. I am starving my tongue and the various senses. Suddenly, from nowhere, The senses came because of some bad samskaras, accumulated samskaras, the millions of janmas, lives. They suddenly barge into me and they take away all the precious wealth that they have accumulated over years and decades of sadhana. What is that? Viveka. Discernment, what is good and bad. Viveka is the Mahadhana, the greatest wealth which I accumulated. They snatch away all that, give me terrible blows, and then throw me into a abandoned well. From there I am crying and crying. I am not even able to get up. Oh Lord, please pull me by the hand and take me out of this well. Andhasya me Hrida Viveka Mahadhanasya Choreif Prabho Balibhirindriya Namadheyai Mohanda Kupa Kuhare Vinipati Tasya Lakshmir Sammamadehi Karavalambam. What a mellifluous, pathetic prayer. Andhasya me, I am andha, I am blind. Krita Viveka Mahadhanasya, who has lost his Mahadhana, the great wealth called Viveka, who has taken away Choreif Prabho Balibhirindriya Namadhe. These Indriyas, these dacoits, these thieves, they have taken away. Mohanda Kupa Kuhare Vinipati Tasya. They have thrown me into this abandoned well from which I am unable to get up. Please lift me by your hand. I am meditating in my cave somewhere. Year after year I have meditated. I have controlled my senses. I have had some kind of realization. People call me a great saint in Rishikesh or Himalayas. Somewhere old samskaras come. Suddenly, 5 terrible dacoits, accompanied of 5 more, they come. They attack me. They are masked. Hey, come on, give me all that I've accumulated. Where is your wealth? Then they open the box. Oh, Viveka, Mahadhana, the great wealth of Viveka, come on, let us snatch it away. Then I tell them, with years and decades of struggle, I accumulated this great wealth called Viveka. Why are you snatching away? Who are you? Oh, you do not know us. You pampered us for millions of lives, janmas. Now, you are asking who you are. Want to see? The leader says, unmask. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, Vak, Pani, Pada, Vayu, Upastha, Pancha Karmendriyas and Pancha Jnanendriyas. They take me, bind me by the feet and throw me and go. Therefore, O Narayana, give me refuge. Lift me up. So, Indriyani Pramatini Aranti Prasabam Manaha. So, what should you do? Tani Sarvani Sanyamya Yukta Asita Matparaha Vashehi Yasyendriyani Tasya Prajna Pratishtita. Tani Sarvani Indriyani. All the Indriya Sanyamya, by controlling them, Yukta Asita Matparaha. Sit quietly, entirely devoted to me. Vashehi Yasya Indriyani, a person who has all the Indriyas under his control, Tasya Prajna Pratishtita, his wisdom is firmly set. Here there's a problem. If you carefully read this verse and the previous verse said, Indriyani Pramathini Haranti Prasamam Mana. Verse number 60. Turbulent senses forcefully hijack the mind. 61 verse says, These indriyas should be controlled. By what? By the mind. Where is the mind? Hijacked. The mind which has been hijacked by the senses, how can it control the mind? Senses. Senses have hijacked it already. So is it not a vicious circle? A dushta chakra? So the mind will control the senses, so the senses will control the mind. Which way? Senses already taken away the mind, hijacked. And that mind, how can it control the senses? Here Ramanujacharya, the famous Vishishtadvaita interpreter, he says, the clue is yukta asita matparaha. Catch hold of that phrase. Yukta, devoted, steady, steadfast. Asita, sitting quietly. Matparaha, wholly devoted to me. This is the clue. When your mind is turbulent, the senses have taken them away. Senses are turbulent, hijack the mind. Mind is helplessly caught. How can that mind control the senses? Then call on the Lord through bhakti, matparaha, totally, completely devoted to me, the Supreme Lord, yukta, attached to him, steadfast. Then, oh Lord, I can't control my senses. The senses hijacked my mind. My mind is so weak. You please come and help me. Yukta asita matparaha, vashehi yasya indriyani, tasya prajna pratisthita. So what is the method? Don't try to control the senses with a turbulent mind. You can't. Pray to the Lord. Lift your heart in simple prayer. When you become totally helpless, your mind is turbulent, your senses are turbulent, you can't control both of them, and you are helplessly bashed, buffeted in this ocean of samsara. Then you say, oh Lord, Lakshmi Risam Mamama Dehi Karavalambam Matparaha, be devoted to the Supreme Being and quietly sit there. Then the Lord gives you a quantum of energy, a specific quantum of energy by which this vicious circle of which will control what? The mind controlling the senses or the senses controlling the mind. This vicious circle is broken. This is remarkable insight by Ramanuja. I owe it to our most revered president of the Ramakrishna order, Swami Gautamanandaji, who point out from the Ramanuja Bhashya how here bhakti alone helps. The bhakti comes to your rescue and then tells you, you come to me. The Lord says, you come to me, I will set it right. That's why Ramanuja there says in the Sloka, in commentary, so don't try to attempt Jnananishtha. I will be very strong. I will control the senses with my mind. My mind is very, very exceptionally steady. Don't boast of your steadiness. Any time it will be hijacked. The story of Vishwamitra being tempted by Menaka and the stories which we hear, these did not happen perhaps actually. These are stories which tell you that don't be too sure of yourself, your mind and the senses. Pray to the Lord repeatedly, supplicate yourself, go down before the Lord on your knees and pray longingly. Sri Ramakrishna repeatedly taught this in his Ramakrishna Kathamrita or the Gospel, in which says, Vyakul hoya prarthana karo. A tremendous longing and steady earnestness, longing. Pray and pray. He shall release you. Prayer is such a powerful force. Unfortunately, we don't have simple faith. what I tell people, our students also, you may not believe that God will help you. Don't believe. But you are helpless now. You have nothing else to do. Why don't you try this option? Even if you believe this shall not help you, why don't you try it? Just like cancer patients. They have tried all kinds of methods, nothing works. Then why don't you try prayer? Even assuming that you don't have faith. The mind is turbulent, senses are hijacked. Senses cannot be controlled by the mind, which is already hijacked. You are totally and completely helpless. With tears in your eyes, longing in your heart, go down on your knees and pray, oh Lord, please help me. Yukta asita matparaha. Ramanuja says here, Jnananishtha dushprapya. Don't forgo for Jnananishtha. Jnananishtha is terrible. It is not so easy to get. So go for bhakti and surrender. Then he is explaining 8 steps by which you go down and down. Like Ashtanga Yoga, you know, Yamani, Asana, etc., up to Samadhi, 8-limbed yoga, Ashtanga. Here the Bhagavan is giving in 62 and 63 verses, Ashtanga Sarvanasha. What is the 6th step by which you go down and down and down and finally perish? The first step which makes you go down. See, these are very great teachings to study our minds, how the mind is going down. Beware, beware. Sri Ramakrishna said, Kalambada Rasta. That means a great sloping road. Once he was traveling by carriage and the road was sloping. He says, I joyfully was traveling till I realized how down I have come. In life also, particularly in spiritual life, unconsciously we slide down and down and down till we realize I've come so far below. You feel yourself a wretch. I have degenerated to such an extent. Fie on me. Some people become mad. Some people want to end their lives. Wait. Still there is hope. Be very careful. Yukta asita matpara, pray to Lord. And how did this happen? Analyze. What are the first steps, second step? The 8 steps where he completely got destroyed. First step, dhyayato vishayan pumsas sangaste shupajayate sangat sanjayate kamak kamat krodho vijayate krodhad bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vibhrama smriti bhramshat buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. First step, dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. Constantly dwelling on sense objects with tremendous passion. What are they in the modern terms? Constantly watching the television, all undesirable movies you keep seeing, all undesirable books you keep studying, all undesirable food, all kinds of food you keep taking, animal food, and all undesirable sounds you are hearing, which rouse in you the lust and anger, and all undesirable touch you are exposed to, particularly of the opposite sex. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. Now that remains in your memory. I go on thinking about it, imagining about it. You see the photographs, you see the videos, and constantly rejoice in that Vishaya, sense objects. That is the first step. Second step, Sangaste Shupajayate. Then you develop Sangha, attachment, inclination towards them. You did not have, perhaps, such a terrible attraction for the senses, for touch, for sight, for smell, for taste, and for sound. Now we have developed this habit. Internet and the smartphone help you to kill yourself. Simply they destroy you. You get into a habit. Unless you see some movies which are horrible, should not be seen, violence and sex are the only two things in movies now. You go on getting a habit of seeing them. Attachment. If the Android smartphone is not in your pocket, you feel the whole world has become dark. Hey, where is my phone? Where is my phone? If their phone is lost, they feel the whole world is lost. See to what extent we become slaves of the senses. Realize this, awaken. Sangasteshu upajayate, from sangat sanjayate kamaha. From attachment, sanga, arises kama or desire. What is the attachment? You can't remain without seeing a bad picture. You can't remain without listening to a vulgar song. You can't remain without a bad touch. Then this attachment gives a new desire to pursue it more and more. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Then somebody comes and tells you, Hare, what is this? They don't know fully, all of you, at least something they know. Hare, what is it that you are doing? You are such a brilliant fellow, and you have such a good education. And what are you doing? How much you have degenerated, find out now. Don't do it. Come on. I will snatch your Android phone for 1 month. Don't look at all this. Then you get terribly angry. What is that to you? I am free. I am independent. I want to be totally independent. I am free. Swatantrata, Shadhinata, Vak Shadhinata. I can talk anything, I can eat anything, I can dance anywhere. That is my freedom. What is that to you? Terribly angry. So kamat krodho bhijayate. And when desire is stopped, it begets anger. If this mobile phone of students, particularly children in the school, even colleges, very young, boys and girls, you try to take away their mobile phones for some time, you'll see how angry they become. Some of them run away from home and then even threaten suicide and all that. Don't try to control me. And the mother, father, they're helpless. Because they also perhaps came the same way, who knows. Terrible anger comes to you. You are ruining your life. You are wasting your time. Please don't do this. Don't worry. It's my life, not yours. Now the present generation is becoming almost uncontrollable because of this demon, Rakshasa, called a smartphone. All of you know this. But we are helpless. You become terribly angry. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. From krodha comes sammoha. Moha means delusion. Sammohaha, a delusion of a very marked degree. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. From out of anger comes delusion. Delusion means they're completely confused what is right and what is wrong. Who is your well-wisher and who is your enemy? Your parents come and tell you something which is good for you. And your wicked friends come and tell you the opposite. You believe them to be true and not your parents. You tell lies to your parents. You trick them. You go anywhere and everywhere and telling them you are going to the college. All these things are well known now. Sammoha. That moha, delusion, simply hijacks you. Sammoha smriti vibhramaha. Loss of memory. What does it mean? Forget who you are. I am a student of such a big university. I am a researcher. I belong to such a wonderful lineage. My parents, grandparents were also luminaries. You forget about all this and behave as if you are a wretch. Sammoha leads to smriti vibhramaha. You forget about your past, forget your pedigree, forget your lineage, forget all the achievements you have done. You achieved so much. Now what is happening to you? Somehow you become restless. Restless of the mind has to be curbed. Calmly sit. Think about your mind. What has happened to you? Smriti bhramshad buddhi nashaha. From loss of memory comes buddhi nasha. Buddhi, the power to discriminate or discern what is good and what is wrong. That is the dhi or the pragya, buddhi. And buddhi is destroyed. The viveka, by which you know what is good and what is wrong, what is bad, what is real and what is unreal, what is permanent, what is impermanent. Nitya, anitya viveka, sad, asad viveka. The viveka is lost. The viveka is lost, what happens? Buddhi nashat pranashyati. From there it spells ruin. They are completely destroyed. If viveka is lost, then you are ruined. What is the difference between a man and an animal? An animal doesn't have any viveka discernment. If there is a piece of meat, a dog will jump at it and try to eat. Man also may be drawn to it, but he'll say, wait, for whom it is kept? Is it for me or somebody else? He has a discernment to find out what I should do, what I should not do. If that viveka is gone, pranashyati, he is completely destroyed. Then what is the way? To run away from sense objects? You can't. You have to see, you have to hear, you have to taste, you have to smell, you have to touch. These are part of life.